You know, sometimes family can hurt you worse than strangers. Let me tell you what happened to me. Imagine this. My mom and my sister threw a massive kids party for our entire extended family. Over 100 people on the guest list, balloons everywhere, a bouncy castle, even pony rides. Every single kid in the family was invited, except one. My daughter. Now, I didn't scream, I didn't cry, and I didn't make a scene. I just stood there holding a tray of homemade muffins while my little girl, who had been so excited, was told she couldn't come in. First, I thought it was a mistake. I thought maybe my name was left off the list by accident. But no. My sister stood right in front of me and said the words I'll never forget. You weren't invited. And 3 weeks later, she had to pack up her life and move out of town. But let me back up, because to understand how we got there, you need to know the whole story. That morning, my daughter, let's call her Mia, was bouncing around the kitchen, more excited than I'd seen her in weeks. She had on her sparkly sandals and a tutu that was already too small, but she insisted on wearing it anyway. She carried a tray of lemon muffins she had helped me bake, with the little crayon label she made that said, Mia's Lemon Stars. She was so proud. I curled her hair, listened to her chatter about the game she wanted to play, and told myself that even though I hadn't helped organize the party this year, it would still be nice to just show up as a guest. For once I wasn't in charge. Or so I thought. We pulled into the parking lot, and the first thing I saw was a rainbow balloon arch swaying in the breeze and a bubble machine shooting bubbles across the grass. Kids were laughing, parents were chatting. It was everything a childhood memory should be. We walked up the gravel path, me carrying my purse and keys, Mia holding her tray like it was her golden ticket. But when we got to the check-in table, something felt off. A teenager with a clipboard looked at us like we were gatecrashers. Names? He asked. I smiled. Sure, it's Emma and Mia. We brought muffins. He flipped through his pages, frowned, and said flatly, You're not on the list. I laughed nervously. That's okay, probably just a mix-up. Could you check again? Our last name's Thompson. We've never missed one of these. But he just shook his head. Sorry, I was told to only let in the people on the list. And that's when I saw her. My older sister, Samantha, walking toward us with that stiff smile she wears when she's pretending she's in control. She patted the teen on the shoulder like he'd done a good job keeping out the trash, then turned to me. Her words were cold. Emma, you weren't invited. First I thought she was joking. I waited for her to laugh, for her to wink, for my mom, who was standing right behind her in oversized sunglasses, to step in and say it was all a misunderstanding. But nobody did. And then the part that broke me. Mia tugged on my hand, looked up at Samantha with big hopeful eyes and whispered, Can I go in though? Please. I heard there's a rocket game. Samantha crouched down, smiled sweetly, and said, Sorry, honey. Not today. It's not your fault. It's your mom's. That was it. That was the moment something inside me cracked. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just gently took the tray from my daughter's hands, turned around, and walked her back to the car while the music got louder behind us. She didn't say a word until we were halfway home. Then in the softest voice she said, Mom, you ruined it. And I couldn't answer. 'Cause maybe she was right. When we got home that day, Mia went straight to her room and shut the door. I sat in the kitchen, still holding that tray of muffins. The little paper label she wrote in crayon was smudged now. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually I picked up my phone. Maybe just to distract myself. And that's when I saw it. One of the old family group chats lit up. It must have been a side thread from some past event, but no one had remembered to remove me. At the top was a photo taken from across the lawn. There I was, standing at the gate with Mia clutching the tray, my sister Samantha blocking us with her arms crossed. And right underneath was a comment. I can't believe she had the audacity to show up. That was the moment it hit me. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't some misunderstanding. I was being painted as the villain. But why? What had I done that was so unforgivable? To explain that, I need to take you back. You see, I've always been the yes sister. Some people struggle with budgets, others can't resist sugar. Me? I can't say no. I've said yes to things that made me cry later. I've said sure while screaming inside. I've said of course, while secretly fantasizing about packing a bag and disappearing. It wasn't because I wanted to. It was because everyone expected me to. Growing up, that was my role. My older sister, Samantha, was the polished one, the golden child. She ran a trendy cafe in town, the kind with overpriced foam art and Instagram walls. She was praised constantly for being put together, but really it was because people like me were always doing the heavy lifting behind her. My younger sister, Kelly, was the soft one, the baby. She panicked easily, cried when things got stressful, and floated through life waiting for someone else to solve things. And that someone was always me. And then there was my mom. Pearls, perfume, and criticism. She has this incredible ability to ignore anything that doesn't match her version of events. And her version has always been that Samantha can do no wrong. Samantha gets excuses. Kelly gets sympathy. Me? I get responsibility. Not because I was loved more. Because I was useful. And I learned early on that useful was the only way to be seen. If Samantha forgot a science project, I stayed up until midnight helping her glue it together. If Kelly lost her costume before the school play, I made one out of paper bags and even wrote her lines on my hand so she wouldn't forget. If Mom needed help cooking for Christmas, I was mashing potatoes before I even hit middle school. It was never framed as Emma does more. It was just expected. And over time I confused being useful with being loved. When I got married, nothing really changed. My husband's wonderful, but even he sometimes slipped into the Emma will handle it mindset. And when Mia was born, I thought maybe, just maybe, things would reset. I thought people would finally give me space, let me rest. But instead, I just became the mom who can juggle it all. By the time Mia was 7, she had already picked up on it. She'd say things like, "Mom, you always do the cupcakes," or "You're the best at decorations." She didn't mean any harm. But even my daughter was learning that I was the one who always stepped up no matter what. And that realization hit me hard. Because I wasn't just training my family to rely on me. I was training my own child to think I didn't matter outside of what I could do. The breaking point came earlier this year. We were planning a big milestone birthday for one of our cousins. Something huge, band, balloons, catering, all of it. Of course I said yes before I even checked my schedule. Samantha claimed she was too busy with the cafe. Kelly said she'd help where she could. And me? I promised to take care of it all. But 3 weeks into planning, I was rushing down the stairs with menus in one hand and my laptop in the other. When I slipped, I broke my leg in 2 places. Landed hard. Samantha was right there at the bottom of the stairs. She saw it happen. And do you know what she did? Nothing. Not even a flinch. I ended up in a cast, on doctor's orders to rest for at least 3 months. When I told the family in our group chat, the responses weren't, "Are you okay?" They were, "Will the venue still have the guest count? Who's handling the playlist? Are you sure it's broken?" Not one person asked about me. Not even my mom. And for the first time I realized something. I couldn't keep living like this. So I did something that felt completely foreign to me. I said no. I told them, "I can't help with the carnival this year. I need to focus on recovery and work." Not "I won't come." Not "I'm done with the family." Just, I couldn't organize it. And you would have thought I'd declared war. Samantha flooded the group chat with passive-aggressive comments about how some people can't be counted on anymore. Mom chimed in with guilt trips about how we all have to make sacrifices. Kelly stayed quiet like always. But me? I thought it would blow over. I thought I'd still be invited, maybe get a few cold looks, but nothing more. What I didn't know then was that saying no just once was going to cost me everything. That night, after Mia cried herself to sleep, I didn't close my eyes once. Not because I was angry, and not even because I was humiliated. It was because I didn't understand. I've always been the type of person who can take a lot as long as I understand why. But that night, all I could hear in my head was Samantha's voice telling me, "You weren't invited." And my mom, standing behind her in those sunglasses, silent as if she agreed. So the next morning, I made myself a shaky cup of coffee, sat down with the school directory, and typed in a name. Melissa Carter. Another mom from school, someone I liked, someone whose kids had been at that party. We'd swapped cookies before, even extra socks for the playground. She was kind. I didn't overthink it. I just called. She answered on the second ring. "Emma," she said. Her tone already told me everything. "You heard?" I asked quietly. A pause. Then, "Are you okay?" "No," I admitted. "Melissa, I need you to be honest with me. What are people saying? I promise I'm not going to yell. I need to know." She hesitated, but not for long. Finally she sighed and said, "Okay, Look, Samantha told everyone you were supposed to be the one organizing the carnival this year. She said you confirmed the venue, the caterers, the whole thing. And then, she trailed off. She said you disappeared. I blinked. What? She told people you stopped answering her texts, that you were overwhelmed and not doing well, that you pulled out at the last minute and left them scrambling. That's a lie. The words came out flat like I was stating a fact. I figured it might be, Melissa said quickly. But that's not all. She also told people your leg wasn't really that bad anymore, and that, well, that you might have taken the money. I froze. What money? Melissa lowered her voice even though we were on the phone. She said she gave you the funds to cover the deposit and you never paid the venue. My stomach dropped. I couldn't even form words for a second. Finally, I whispered, Melissa, that never happened. I told them a month in advance that I couldn't organize. I have a doctor's note. I was still on crutches. Why would I take money that wasn't mine? I believe you, she said quickly. Honestly, the way Samantha told it, it felt off. But she said it so calmly, like she was worried about you. Like she was covering for you. Of course she did. Lie better. Smile bigger. That was Samantha's specialty. I thanked Melissa, hung up, and just sat there staring at my reflection in the microwave door. Then I picked up the phone again. And this time I called Samantha. She answered on the first ring, her voice syrupy sweet. Hey Emma. That fake cheerful tone she always used when she wanted me to do her a favor. I didn't waste time. You told people I was supposed to organize the carnival. That I bailed. That I took money. Silence. Then, what are you talking about? Don't play dumb. Melissa told me. You lied. Another pause. Then she said smoothly, Emma, people misunderstood. I never said you bailed. Then what did you say? That you had a lot going on. That you weren't in a place to handle it. People just filled in the blanks. I told you a month in advance that I couldn't do it. I was recovering from a broken leg. You knew that. You've never said no before. She snapped suddenly, her tone turning sharp. And right there it was, the truth. You assumed I'd show up anyway, I said. Well, yeah, she answered like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I thought you were just stressed. You always pull through. I didn't quit, I said slowly, carefully, like I was talking to a child. I set a boundary. And you threw me under the bus. That's not fair, she fired back. I was under pressure. Everything was falling apart and you just walked away. I had a broken leg, Samantha. You were walking just fine, she shot back. I laughed bitterly. Do you really think physical therapy is magic? That just because I could limp across a room, I could run a 100-person carnival? She softened her voice then, her favorite trick. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. This isn't about feelings. You told people I stole money. I never used that word. No, you just implied it. You let them think it. There was silence. Then I asked, did Mom know? Samantha hesitated. She was just trying to protect you. I almost dropped the phone. No, she was protecting you like always. More silence. Then Samantha sighed and said, you're blowing this out of proportion. You've always taken things so personally. Can't we just move on? I hung up, and for the first time in a long time I wasn't confused anymore. This wasn't a miscommunication. This wasn't Samantha panicking and saying something dumb. It was a choice. She couldn't pull off the party on her own. So she set my name on fire and everyone just watched it burn. And I knew in that moment I wasn't going to let her get away with it. The next morning I woke up with a plan. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg people to believe me. I was going to do what Samantha never expected me to do. I was going to keep my mouth shut until I had proof. Step 1 was simple. Find the receipts. I still had the email from the carnival committee, dated weeks before, confirming that I had declined to organize because of my injury. The timestamp was clear. The words were polite but firm. I won't be able to take on the responsibility this year. Then I dug into my texts. Every message I'd sent Samantha, telling her I couldn't manage it, that I needed rest, that she needed to find someone else. Her replies, little hearts. A no worries, sis. Even a got it covered. Covered, huh? By blaming me later. And the money, that was the easiest part. The treasurer's record showed not a single dollar had ever been transferred to me. My name wasn't anywhere on the transaction logs. By noon I had a neat little folder: emails, texts, bank statements, all lined up, all undeniable. And then came step 2, sharing it. Not with Samantha, not with my mom, not even with Melissa, with the group. The committee had a group email thread: every mom, every dad, every volunteer. Samantha loved to shine there, sending her cheerful updates. So I hit reply all. No caps, no exclamation points, just calm, clear facts. Hi everyone. I'd like to clear up a misunderstanding. It's been brought to my attention that there are rumors suggesting I was responsible for organizing this year's carnival and that I failed to follow through. For transparency, please see the attached emails and text messages showing I declined the role over a month in advance due to my recovery. Additionally, I've attached confirmation from the treasurer's records that no funds were ever transferred to me. I hope this clears things up. Emma. I hit send, and then I turned off my phone. By the time I turned it back on 2 hours later, my inbox was exploding. Half the parents replied with short notes. Thanks for clarifying. Some added, that makes sense, hope you're feeling better. But the real cracks started showing in the replies directed at Samantha. Sam, can you explain why you said otherwise? I thought you told us Emma had dropped the ball. This doesn't line up with what you said. The tone had shifted. For once, people weren't blindly swallowing her version. They were asking questions. And Samantha hated questions. She called me that evening voice tight. What was that stunt? It wasn't a stunt, I said evenly. It was the truth. You made me look like a liar. I almost laughed. You didn't need my help with that. You don't understand, she hissed. Once people start doubting me, they'll… She cut herself off. They'll what? I pressed. She didn't answer. Instead, she hung up. That's when I realized something. For years, Samantha had thrived on 2 things: my silence and people's assumptions. But the moment I broke that silence with cold, hard proof, her shiny little image cracked. And cracks spread fast. It didn't take long. Within days, Samantha's perfect image started to unravel. First, she tried damage control. She posted a cheerful message in the committee thread. So sorry for any confusion. Must have been a miscommunication. Let's all move forward with love, 2 hearts. But it was too late. Parents weren't buying the emojis anymore. One mom replied bluntly, "It wasn't a miscommunication, Sam. You told us directly." Another added, "I canceled a work shift because I thought Emma had dropped the ball. You owe her an apology." And then Melissa, bless her, dropped the hammer. "Samantha, you told me over coffee that Emma ran off with the money. Do you want me to share those texts?" Silence. From there, things snowballed. Whispers at school pickup. Parents quietly pulling away. People choosing different volunteers for projects. Even the principal, who had always treated Samantha like royalty, called a special meeting and politely asked her to step back from leadership. For Samantha, that was the real punishment. Not being in charge, not being adored. And for once, she couldn't spin her way out. At home, though, was where the knife really twisted. My mom finally called me one evening, her voice small. "Emma," she said, "I didn't know she told people you took the money." "Yes, you did," I answered softly. "You just didn't care. You wanted to believe her." There was a long pause. Then she said, "I should have stood up for you." I didn't respond, because she already knew the answer. And Mia? She never asked about the party again. Instead, one Saturday, she and I baked another batch of lemon muffins. This time, we delivered them just to Melissa's kids. The 4 of them sat in the backyard, sticky-fingered and giggling, while I sipped coffee with Melissa on the porch. No balloons, no pony rides, no crowds, just laughter, just peace. And in that moment, I realized I didn't need revenge. Samantha had built her own trap. All I had to do was let the truth out and watch her fall right through it.